The city of Oakland's been dealing with the fallout of a ransomware cyber attack for the past week and a half now. Cyber criminals are holding the city's data hostage, demanding money from the city in exchange for unlocking the data. Officials in Oakland are staying quiet about the issue. The city administrator says Oakland leaders trying to avoid disclosing anything that would put them in a more vulnerable position. The city did say that employees are being paid on time, and today is payday, so let's see what happens as the hours unfold. We'll talk more about how these attacks happen. We'll turn to Justin Giardina, CTO of 1111 Systems. Thanks for being with us.
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. You know, we've heard of hospital systems being attacked. How rare or common might it be that cities get attacked this way?
You know, in our industry, protecting and working with a lot of organizations and governments that are susceptible to this, it's common. The bad reality is that the attackers are getting more and more courageous and more effective daily. So it's very common.
We've reported for more than a week, Oaklanders standing in long lines for city services, everything having to be done manually. Clearly, it's been an inconvenience. Today's payday. And if people don't get paid, then things get real. Talk to me about the payroll aspect in all of this.
Well, you know, for me personally, I haven't had the luxury of being able to assess the exact damage that the city is experiencing. But traditionally, for the customers that we work with, is while the IT teams are busy dealing with the restoration of data, the restoration of systems, we see a lot of organizations have to resort back to manual processes. So, you know, all the things we love and know about online systems and online banking, online payroll, and the convenience that that gives us usually has to get resorted back to manual processes, which take a long time.
Is it fairly common that the entity that's been attacked doesn't say much, as is the case now?
Sometimes, yes. You know, it's definitely in this situation, we see what's going on in the news. And, you know, I really have a lot of empathy for the teams that are having to deal with this, whether it's from administration to IT teams. These processes are long and laborious. And like I said, the end result is having to deal with the manual nature of this while these things get corrected.
And even sometimes, if the target pays up, they don't always get all their information back.
That's exactly right. You know, we see that time and time again. Sometimes organizations will pay a ransom. The decryption keys for the data do not get provided. Sometimes we see organizations pay ransom, and even though the decryption keys are given, the data is useless, and the whole process starts over again. And then time and time again, we also see where organizations will pay the ransom, and then the attackers will come back in with other attacks. So it's very much a cat and mouse game, and every situation is different.
Yeah, and they're kind of always one step ahead. We're about a week and a half in here. How long do you think it'll be before, number one, we know the full scope of what was affected, and number two, things will be back to normal?
Well, again, you know, I don't have the luxury of answering exactly around timelines because I'm not familiar with the internal situation, but I can say that what we usually see is the average time is around 16 days of a recovery process. I don't know how large and effective the ransomware has been internally for the city. If it's a widespread infection, it could take longer than the 16 days or shorter. So there's no magic bullet to the answer. But what I can say is that when we usually see these things happen, that's when manual processes will come into play, and eventually organizations will get through it. It's just time.
Justin, I'm guessing you get a lot of companies that come to you in a time of crisis. If you could back up and help companies before the crisis hits, what do you say to cities, hospitals, all other agencies that want to protect against this?
That's a great question. And, you know, I always resort back to a large poster we have in our office, which is a picture of a hamburger. And it says a great security policy is the result of multiple layers. So in the picture, it shows the bun and the meat and the cheese and all the great things that make up a hamburger. And that's really true. You know, you can't rely on an antivirus application or a magic bullet piece of software to protect this. It goes from technology to process to training. There's multiple ways that organizations need to attack a cyber resiliency and cybersecurity policy. And then, as I mentioned before, the effectiveness of the attackers just increases daily. So it is truly a cat and mouse game, and it is something that organizations as well as government organizations need to take very seriously.
All right, well, Justin Giardina, you've helped us understand it a little bit more here. Thank you so much for joining us, CTO of 1111 Systems.
Thanks for having me.